Today, Bitcoin is a household name. It's on the news, it's on social media, and it's even being debated by governments. But not long ago, it was just an idea in the mind of a mysterious figure. Let's rewind and walk through how Bitcoin went from an obscure white paper to a global financial revolution that's changing how we think about money. Chapter 1. The problem before Bitcoin. To understand why Bitcoin matters, you have to understand the world it was born into. Before Bitcoin, the entire financial system was built on trust. Trust that banks wouldn't fail. Trust that governments wouldn't print too much money. Trust that your savings would hold their value over time. But in 2008, that trust shattered. The global financial crisis hit. Banks were bailed out while millions of people lost their homes, jobs, and life savings. The system felt rigged. If you were alive and earning back then, you probably remember how unstable everything felt. You could do everything right and still lose everything. People started asking, is there a better way? Chapter 2. The birth of Bitcoin. Right in the middle of that chaos, something strange happened. On October 34, 2008, someone calling themselves Satoshi Nakamoto published a white paper titled Bitcoin, a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. It described a new kind of money, one that didn't rely on banks, governments, or any central authority. This wasn't just some tech nerd fantasy. It was a blueprint for a decentralized financial system, powered by people and protected by code. Then, on January 3, 2009, Satoshi launched the Bitcoin network by mining the first block, now known as the Genesis block. Inside it, he embedded a message. The Times 03, Jan, 2009 Chancellor, on brink of second bailout for banks. It was subtle, but powerful. A timestamp. A protest. A mission. Chapter 3. The early days. When nobody cared in the beginning, Bitcoin was an experiment, and hardly anyone paid attention. Only a few cryptography enthusiasts, developers, and hardcore libertarians even knew it existed. You could mine hundreds of bitcoins on a regular laptop. There was no price. No exchanges. No hype. Then in 2010, something historic happened. A programmer named Laszlo Haniec used 10,000 bitcoins to buy 2 pizzas. It was the first real-world Bitcoin transaction. Today, those coins would be worth over $500 million. But back then, it was just pizza. Delicious, expensive pizza. More importantly, it proved that Bitcoin could be used as money. It could leave the digital world and pay for something in the real one. Chapter 4. Volatility, scandals, and growing pains. As more people discovered Bitcoin, its price started rising. A few cents. A few dollars. Then hundreds. Suddenly, people were taking notice. But it wasn't all smooth sailing. Bitcoin faced scandal after scandal. Dark web marketplaces like Silk Road used Bitcoin for anonymous transactions. Mt. Gox, the largest exchange at the time, collapsed after losing over 800,000 Bitcoins in a hack. Governments began cracking down. The media called it a scam, a bubble, a joke. If you were in Bitcoin back then, you were either a visionary or totally crazy. But here's what most people missed. Through every crash, Bitcoin kept running. No bailouts. No CEOs. No downtime. Just code doing its job. Chapter 5. Bitcoin goes mainstream. By the late 2010s, Bitcoin had grown too big to ignore. Investors started taking it seriously. Companies like Square, MicroStrategy, and even Tesla bought in. Wall Street launched crypto products. El Salvador made it legal tender. Suddenly, the conversation changed. Bitcoin wasn't just internet money. It was digital gold. A hedge against inflation. A tool for the financially unbanked. You could now buy Bitcoin from your phone. Store it in apps. Use it to pay for coffee or transfer money across the world in seconds. No bank needed. It was no longer just for tech geeks. It was for everyone. Chapter 6. What Bitcoin represents. Bitcoin isn't just a coin. It's an idea, a symbol of what's possible when people take control of their money. It represents financial freedom, transparency, and the power of decentralization. It gives people a way to protect their money from inflation, corruption, or censorship. In countries with unstable currencies, like Venezuela or Argentina, Bitcoin isn't just an investment. It's a lifeline. It's not perfect. It's not risk-free. But it's here, and it's not going away. Final thought. Bitcoin started as a white paper. A dream, a rebellion against a broken system. And now? It's a global movement that challenges the way we think about money, power, and trust. Whether you believe in it or not, Bitcoin has already changed the world. And the next chapter is still being written. This is Compound State, where we decode the future of finance, one idea at a time. Today, Bitcoin is a household name. But it wasn't always that way. Let's go back to where it all began and explore how a mysterious white paper turned into a financial revolution. Chapter 1. The problem before Bitcoin. Before Bitcoin, our financial system relied entirely on trust. Trust in banks, governments, and centralized institutions. If you wanted to send money, you needed a middleman. If you wanted to save money, inflation slowly ate away at its value. People had tried to create digital money before. Projects like DigiCash and eGold popped up in the 1990s and early 2000s, but all of them failed. Why? Because they were still centralized. Then came 2008. Chapter 2: The birth of Bitcoin. On October 31, 2008, in the middle of the global financial crisis, a mysterious person, or group, using the name Satoshi Nakamoto, published a white paper titled Bitcoin, a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. It described a revolutionary idea, a way to send money over the internet without banks, without middlemen, completely decentralized. It combined cryptography, peer-to-peer networking, and game theory into a working system. On January 3, 2009, Satoshi mined the first ever Bitcoin block, the Genesis block, and embedded this message into it. The Times 03 Jan 2009 Chancellor on brink of second bailout for banks. A message and a mission. Chapter 3: Early days. Nerds, pizza, and 10,000. BTC at first, Bitcoin was a niche experiment used only by cryptography enthusiasts and developers. It had no market value. People mined it on laptops. No one took it seriously. Then, in 2010, the first known commercial transaction happened. A programmer named Laszlo Hanyecz paid 10,000 BTC for 2 pizzas. At today's prices, that's over 500 million. Yes, that's the most expensive pizza in history. But that moment proved something. Bitcoin could be used as real money. Chapter 4: Growth, Chaos, and the Rise of Crypto. Over the next few years, Bitcoin started gaining attention. Its price climbed from cents to dollars to hundreds. But with growth came chaos. Bitcoin was used on black markets like Silk Road. It faced exchange hacks, regulatory scrutiny, and media panic. Mt. Gox, once the biggest Bitcoin exchange, lost over 800,000 BTC in a hack. People called Bitcoin dead. Again and again. But it survived. And kept growing. New cryptocurrencies launched. Ethereum, Litecoin, and others expanded the vision. A new ecosystem was forming: crypto. Chapter 5: Bitcoin goes mainstream. By the late 2010s, Bitcoin had gone from fringe to front page. Institutional investors started buying in. Companies like MicroStrategy and Tesla added Bitcoin to their balance sheets. El Salvador made it legal tender. The price soared, crashed, soared again. Bitcoin was no longer just a currency. It was an asset class, a cultural movement, a challenge to traditional finance. Today, Bitcoin is held by millions. Traded globally. Talked about by everyone from tech bros to pension funds. But it's still early. Final thought. Bitcoin isn't just about money. It's about control, freedom, and the power of code over corruption. Whether you believe in it or not, one thing's clear: Bitcoin changed the world, and it's not done yet. This is Compound State, where we decode the future of finance.